The last stand begins. The salvage vessel Defiant Hope drifted through the debris field like a ghost among the bones of dead ships. Captain Maya Chen pressed her palm against the cool metal of the bridge viewport, watching as her crews cutting. Torches sparked against the hull of a destroyed Altarian transport. The ship had been beautiful once, with its flowing curves and crystalline energy channels. Now it was just another casualty of the Cathara Empire's endless hunger. Another clean sweep, muttered Arya, the ship's AI. Her voice carried the weight of too many similar discoveries. No survivors, no escape pods, no distress beacons. They don't even pretend to offer surrender anymore. Maya's reflection stared back at her from the viewport. A woman in her 40s with graying hair pulled back in a practical bun and eyes that had seen too much. 3 years of salvaging in the Outer Rim had taught her to read the signs of Kithara attacks, the precise plasma cuts that sliced through holes like paper, the way they always targeted the engine cores first, preventing any chance of escape, the complete absence of bodies because the Kithara didn't kill their enemies, they harvested them. Anything useful in the cargo holds? Maya asked, turning away from the viewport. Mostly luxury goods, Arya replied. Altarian silk, crystals, some rare metals. Nothing that'll help us survive another month out here. Maya nodded grimly. The Defiant Hope wasn't much to look at, a converted mining vessel with more patches than original hull plating, but it was home. More importantly, it was invisible to most military scanners. In a galaxy where the Cathara Empire had conquered 47 worlds in the past decade, invisibility was survival. The communication array crackled to life, interrupting her thoughts. Captain Chen, we're picking up something on the long-range sensors, called out Lieutenant Torres from the navigation station. Multiple contacts, bearing 27 Mark IV. Maya moved to the sensor station, her experienced eyes reading the data streams. How many? Dozens, maybe hundreds. They're not moving in formation, more like ... double quotes. Torres paused, his voice dropping, like they're running. The main display screen flickered as Arya processed the incoming data. Slowly, a 3-dimensional map materialized, showing hundreds of ships of all sizes and configurations. Some were barely holding together, their hulls cracked and leaking atmosphere. Others were massive passenger liners, their holds packed with refugees. At the center of the chaotic fleet, a few military vessels limped along, their weapons systems dark and their shields failing. It's a refugee fleet, Maya whispered. Survivors from the Kithara advance. Captain Arya's voice was unusually subdued. I'm detecting at least 30 different species represented in that fleet. Altarians, Zephyrians, Vorthan, even some crystalline collective ships. That's not possible unless the Kithara hit multiple worlds simultaneously, Maya finished. This isn't just another raid. This is a coordinated assault. The communication array crackled again. This time, a desperate voice broke through the static, speaking in broken galactic standard. Any vessel receiving this transmission, please respond. We are the survivors of the Kepler sector colonies. Our ships are failing. Our people are dying. We cannot reach the core worlds. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help. Maya closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the galaxy pressing down on her shoulders. She had spent 3 years running from the Cathara, salvaging scraps and staying one step ahead of their expanding empire. She had told herself it was about survival, about keeping her crew alive. But now, faced with hundreds of ships full of refugees, she realized she had been lying to herself. Arya, How long before the Cathara catch up to them? Based on their current trajectory and the standard pursuit patterns, I'd estimate 18 hours, maybe 20 if they're lucky. And their ships, half of them won't make it. Another 12 hours. Engine failures, hull breaches, life support systems failing. Captain, there are children on those ships. Families, entire civilizations crammed into cargo holds, breathing recycled air and hoping for a miracle. Maya opened her eyes and looked at her crew. Torres at navigation, his young face pale with the enormity of what they were witnessing. Chief Engineer Patel, her hands already moving over the engine controls as if she could somehow make their small ship faster, stronger. Dr. Yamato from medical, his expression grim as he calculated the medical supplies they didn't have. Captain, Arya said quietly, I'm detecting long-range sensors actively sweeping this sector. The Cathara are coming. Maya walked to the center of the bridge, her mind racing through possibilities. The Defiant Hope was fast, but not fast enough to outrun a Cathara battle group. They could slip away, disappear into the asteroid fields and nebulae that had hidden them for years. They could survive, but hundreds of thousands of refugees would die. Options, she asked. We could try to contact the Inner Worlds Alliance, Torres suggested. Get them to send a fleet. The nearest Alliance patrol is 6 days away, Arya replied. And the Alliance Council is still debating whether to officially recognize the Cathara as a threat. We could try to guide the refugees through the Maelstrom Nebula, Dr. Yamato offered. The navigation is tricky, but the Cathara won't follow. Not with ships that damaged. Chief Patel shook her head. The radiation would kill them before they cleared the first particle storm. Maya stood in silence, watching the refugee fleet struggle across the void. She thought about her own childhood, growing up on New Geneva before the Cathara had even been discovered. She remembered feeling safe, protected by the vast distances between stars and the assumption that the galaxy was big enough for everyone. That assumption had died with 47 worlds. There is another option, she said finally. We could buy them time. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what she meant. Captain, Torres said carefully, the Cathara battle group will have at least 12 heavy cruisers and twice that many destroyers. We're one salvage ship with jury-rigged weapons and a crew of 8. 9, Arya corrected. I count 2. Maya smiled despite herself. 9, against a fleet that has conquered half the galaxy. The odds are not in our favor, Dr. Yamato said quietly. No, Maya agreed. But running away isn't working either. Every world the Cathara take makes them stronger. Every species they conquer becomes another weapon in their arsenal. At some point, someone has to stand up and say, enough. She turned to face her crew. I'm not ordering anyone to stay. The shuttle bay is open, and there are enough escape pods for everyone, but I'm done running. I'm done watching civilizations die while we hide in the shadows. Chief Patel was the first to speak. My family died on Kepler 7. The Cathara took my home, my parents, my little sister. I've got nowhere else to run to. I joined this crew to help people, Dr. Yamato added. Doesn't matter if it's treating a mining accident or standing between refugees and slavers. Torres nodded slowly. Someone needs to record what happens here. Send a message to the galaxy. Might as well be us. Maya looked up at the speakers, where Arya's voice emerged. Arya, Captain. I've been calculating probabilities since we detected the refugee fleet. The odds of us surviving this encounter are approximately 0.03%. But the odds of those refugees surviving without our intervention are exactly zero. I've always been better at math than philosophy, but even I can see that some equations are about more than numbers. Maya felt something shift inside her chest, a weight she hadn't realized she was carrying finally lifting. Then let's get to work. Arya, patch me through to the refugee fleet. All channels, all frequencies. Channel open, Captain. Maya stepped forward, her voice carrying across the void to hundreds of ships and thousands of desperate souls. This is Captain Maya Chen of the vessel Defiant Hope. We hear you, and we're coming to help, but I need you to listen carefully. The Cathara are 16 hours behind you, and they're not planning to take prisoners. We're going to buy you time to reach the inner worlds, but you need to follow my instructions exactly. She paused, looking out at the scattered fleet. I know you're scared. I know you've lost everything. But you're not alone anymore. Humanity has a saying, the darkest hour comes just before the dawn. Well, it's about to get very dark out here, but I promise you, dawn is coming. The response was immediate. Dozens of voices, speaking in as many languages, all saying the same thing. Thank you, Hope. Fight. Arya, what's our tactical situation? Converting the mining laser to a weapon system will take 4 hours. The plasma cutters can be rigged as close-range weapons. We still have those prototype shields Chief Patel was working on, and Captain, the refugee fleet isn't as helpless as they appear. 3 of those ships are former military vessels, and I'm detecting some very interesting modifications on the civilian ships. Maya raised an eyebrow. Modifications? Weapons, improvised armor, converted cargo holds. Captain, these people have been fighting the Cathara for months. They know how to hurt them. For the first time in years, Maya felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope, then let's give them something to fight for. Chief Patel, I want you to strip everything non-essential from the ship. Weapons, shields, speed. Dr. Yamato, prepare the medical bay for casualties. Torres, plot a course that puts us between the Cathara and the refugee fleet. And Arya, ... Yes, Captain. Start recording everything. If this goes wrong, I want the galaxy to know what happened here. I want them to know that when the Cathara came for the refugees, humanity stood in their way. And if it goes right, Maya smiled, the expression transforming her weathered face. Then we're going to show the galaxy that the age of running from the Cathara is over. The Defiant Hope turned toward the incoming storm, her engines burning bright against the darkness. Behind them, the refugee fleet began to form up, their desperate flight becoming something else entirely. Ahead, the Cathara Empire's finest were about to learn what happened when you cornered a human with nothing left to lose. In the depths of space, far from the light of any star, the impossible was about to become inevitable. One ship, one crew, one desperate stand against the darkness. The galaxy was about to discover that sometimes the smallest light burns the brightest. The countdown had begun. Asterisk, when humans stopped running, the Cathara fleet emerged from hyperspace like a plague of metal locusts. Their ships painted in the deep purple and gold that marked the Empire's most elite units. 24 vessels in perfect formation, each one larger than the Defiant Hope, each one carrying enough firepower to glass a planet. At their head, the battleship Eternal Dominion cut through space with predatory grace. Its hull scarred from 1,000 conquests. Captain Maya Chen stood on the bridge of her small salvage vessel, watching the enemy fleet deploy with the precision of a military parade. Behind her, The refugee fleet had formed a rough defensive line, their mismatched ships clustering together like frightened animals. She could see the fear in their formation, the way they bunched up instead of spreading out, the way their weapon systems flickered uncertainly. "They're beautiful," Arya said quietly, in a terrifying, death-dealing sort of way. "Beauty doesn't win wars," Maya replied, though she had to admit the Cathara ships were impressive. "Chief Patel, status report. Mining laser is converted and..." "Ready, Captain?" "It won't punch through their main shields, but it'll make them think twice about getting close. Plasma cutters are rigged for close combat, and I've got the prototype shields at 60% power." 60%. Would you prefer them at 0%? Patel shot back with a grin. "I'm an engineer, not a miracle worker." Maya smiled despite the situation. "Dr. Yamato, are you ready for casualties?" "As ready as anyone can be for the impossible," he replied. "The refugee ships have been sharing medical supplies. If we can keep them alive long enough, they might actually make it to the inner worlds." "Torres, what's our communication status?" "All channels open, Captain. The refugees are on tactical frequency 7, and I've got an open line to the Cathara fleet. They've been trying to hail us for the past 10 minutes. Maya nodded. "Put them through." The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were face to face with Admiral Vextar, commander of the Cathara Third Fleet. He was tall and imposing, with the characteristic blue-black skin and silver markings that denoted his high rank. His eyes were cold amber, and when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "I am Admiral Vextar of the Cathara Empire. You will surrender the refugees immediately, or you will be destroyed. You have 60 seconds to comply." Maya stepped forward, her voice calm and steady. "I'm Captain Maya Chen of the Defiant Hope, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to decline your generous offer." Vextar's expression didn't change, but Maya caught a flicker of something in his eyes. Surprise, maybe. The Cathara were used to immediate surrender or panicked flight. They weren't used to polite refusal. "You are one ship," Vextar said slowly. "We are 24. Your destruction will take approximately 4 minutes. Why do you choose death?" "Because," Maya said, "someone has to." She gestured to the refugee fleet behind her. "You've been chasing these people for months. Families, children, survivors from worlds you've conquered. And you know what? They're tired of running. So am I." Vextar leaned forward, his amber eyes narrowing. "You are human. Your species is not even a member of the Galactic Council. Why do you involve yourself in affairs that do not concern you?" Maya's smile was cold as space. "Admiral, when someone is hurting innocent people, it concerns everyone. That's what makes us human." "Interesting," Vextar mused. "Your species' reputation for irrational behavior appears to be accurate. Very well, you have chosen death. I will. Make it quick." The communication cut out, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Maya turned to her crew, seeing the fear in their eyes, but also something else: determination, pride, the same expression she'd seen on the faces of an old Defense Force unit when they'd held the line at Proxima Station. "Arya, start broadcasting. On all frequencies. I want everyone in the galaxy to hear this." "Broadcasting, Captain." Maya looked directly into the camera, her voice carrying across the void to countless worlds. "This is Captain Maya Chen of the human vessel Defiant Hope. We're about to engage a superior enemy force to protect refugees from the Cathara Empire. I want everyone listening to understand something. This isn't about winning. This isn't about glory. This is about standing up to bullies. She paused, looking out at the enemy fleet. The Cathara have conquered 47 worlds. They've enslaved dozens of species. They've done it because no one stood up to them. Well, that ends today. Not because we're stronger, but because we're not afraid anymore. The Cathara fleet began to move, their formation spreading out like a net. But Maya noticed something interesting. They weren't rushing forward. They were being cautious, methodical, good. Caution was doubt, and doubt was a weapon. All ships, this is Captain Chen. Execute plan, Aurora. The refugee fleet suddenly scattered, their seemingly panicked formation revealing its true purpose. The military vessels dove low, their weapons systems coming online. The civilian ships spread out in a complex pattern, their improvised weapons tracking the Cathara formation. And in the center, the Defiant Hope accelerated directly toward the enemy fleet. They're confused, Arya reported. The Cathara expected us to form a defensive line. They're not used to prey that attacks. Then let's give them something to really think about, Maya said. Chief Patel, full power to the mining laser. Target their flagship. Captain, at this range, the laser will barely scratch their shields. I'm not trying to hurt them. I'm trying to annoy them. The mining laser, designed to cut through asteroids and derelict ships, lanced out across space. It struck the Eternal Dominion's shields in a brilliant flash of light. The battleship's shields held easily, but the effect was immediate. The Cathara fleet's perfect formation wavered as ships moved to protect their flagship. Impressive, Vex's voice crackled over the communication system, but futile. All ships open fire. The space around the Defiant Hope lit up with plasma fire and missile trails. Maya threw the ship into a desperate evasive pattern, her hands dancing over the controls. As she wove between the incoming fire, the prototype shields flared and sparked, absorbing what they could and deflecting the rest. Shields at 40%, Chief Patel shouted over the alarms. Hold together, old girl, Maya muttered, pulling the ship through a barrel roll that would have killed a normal crew. Torres, are the refugees clear? Negative, Captain. The damaged ships are still too slow. The Cathara are moving to flank them. Maya cursed under her breath. The refugees needed more time, but the Defiant Hope was already taking a beating. She needed a new strategy, something the Cathara wouldn't expect. Arya, patch me through to Admiral Vexter. Personal channel. Connected, Captain. Admiral, I have a proposition for you. Vexter's image appeared on the screen, his expression curious. You wish to surrender? I wish to make a deal. Single combat. Your best ship against mine. If you win, the refugees surrender. If I win, you let them go. Vextar actually laughed. A sound like breaking glass. You propose to fight my flagship in your salvage vessel. That is not combat, human. That is suicide. Maybe, Maya agreed. But here's the thing about humans, Admiral. We're really, really good at making suicide look like victory. Something flickered in Vextar's eyes. Uncertainty. The Cathara had conquered the galaxy through overwhelming force and the fear it inspired. But fear was a two-edged sword. It only worked if your enemies were rational. Very well, Vextar said finally. I accept your challenge. But understand, human, this changes nothing. When I destroy your ship, the refugees will still be captured. Will. See about that, Maya replied, cutting the connection. Captain, Dr. Yamato said quietly, the Eternal Dominion outguns us 50-1. Its shields are military grade. Its weapons are designed to destroy capital ships. How do we fight something like that? Maya turned to look at her crew, seeing the trust in their eyes despite the impossible odds. We don't fight it, she said. We outsmart it. The Defiant Hope accelerated toward the Cathara flagship, its small frame dwarfed by the massive battleship. To outside observers, it looked like a minnow attacking a whale. But Maya had spent 3 years learning to think like a scavenger, to see opportunity where others saw only wreckage. Arya, remember that gravitational anomaly we mapped in the Helix Nebula? The one that nearly tore us apart? Yes, I remember it quite vividly. I need you to calculate a hyperspace jump that brings us out right next to the Eternal Dominion. Close enough to feel their engine wash. Captain, a jump that close to another ship is suicide. The gravitational interference alone would tear us apart. Not if we're expecting it. Chief Patel, can you rig the plasma cutters to overload on command? Patel's eyes widened as she realized what Maya was planning. Captain, that would turn our entire forward section into a bomb. A very small bomb, Maya corrected. But right next to their bridge, it might be enough. The Eternal Dominion opened fire, its main cannons tracking the Defiant Hope's erratic course. Maya threw the ship into a spiraling dive, using the gravitational pull of a nearby moon to slingshot past the incoming fire. The Cathara flagship adjusted its course, moving to intercept. Now, Maya shouted, the Defiant Hope vanished into hyperspace, leaving the Cathara fleet staring at empty space. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, impossibly, the small salvage vessel materialized directly above the Eternal Dominion's bridge, so close that the 2 ships' shields intersected in a shower of sparks. Plasma cutters overloading, Chief Patel reported. All power to forward. Shields, Maya ordered. Everyone hold on. The explosion was small by warship standards, barely enough to damage a fighter. But it was placed perfectly, right at the junction between the Eternal Dominion's shield generators and its main hull. The blast punched through the weakened shields and struck the flagship's armor, sending shockwaves through the massive vessel. More importantly, it sent a message. The Cathara weren't invincible. They could be hurt, surprised, outmaneuvered, and throughout the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds, that message was being received. Impossible, Vexta breathed over the communication channel. Your ship should have been destroyed in the jump. Should have been, Maya agreed, nursing the Defiant Hope away from the damaged flagship. But humans are really good at doing impossible things when people's lives are on the line. She opened a channel to the refugee fleet. All ships, this is Captain Chen. Run now, get to the inner worlds, and tell them what happened here. Tell them the Cathara can bleed. The refugee fleet needed no further encouragement. Their engines flared to life, and they jumped to hyperspace in a ragged but determined formation. In seconds, they were gone, carrying their precious cargo of survivors toward safety. Maya looked at the Cathara fleet, now surrounding the Defiant Hope like a pack of wolves. The odds hadn't changed. They were still outnumbered, outgunned, and outmaneuvered. But something else had changed. The fear was gone, Admiral, she said calmly. I believe our business is concluded. Vextar's image appeared on the screen, his expression unreadable. You have fought well, human. But now the refugees are gone, and you are alone. Surrender, and I will grant you a quick death. Maya smiled, the expression lighting up her weathered face. Admiral, I need to tell you something about humans. We're never really alone, Arya. Show him. The main screen changed, displaying incoming hyperspace signatures. Dozens of them. Ships from across the galaxy, military vessels and civilian craft, all converging on their position. The message had been received. The call had been answered. You see, Maya said, that's the thing about standing up to bullies. Eventually, other people get tired of being afraid too. The first ships to arrive were a squadron of Altarian cruisers, their crystalline hulls gleaming in the starlight. Behind them came Zephyrian fighters, their organic ships pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. Vorthon dreadnoughts dropped out of hyperspace with their distinctive blue-shifted engines, followed by ships from a dozen other species, and at the center of it all, flying the banner of the Inner Worlds Alliance, came the battleship Harmony, its commander broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Admiral Sarah Martinez of the Alliance fleet. All Cathara vessels, you are ordered to withdraw immediately. This sector is now under Alliance protection. Maya felt tears running down her cheeks as she watched the impossible sight. The galaxy, united at last, not by treaties or politics, but by the simple recognition that some things were worth fighting for. Vextar's image flickered and died as the Kithara fleet began to withdraw. They were still powerful, still dangerous, but they were no longer invincible. The age of fear was ending. Captain Arya said quietly, "We did it. We actually did it." Maya nodded, looking out at the assembled fleet. Ships from across the galaxy, all united by the simple act of one crew refusing to run away. No, Arya. We started it. The real work begins now. The defiant Hope turned toward the inner worlds, escorted by the greatest armada the galaxy had ever seen. Behind them, the Cathara Empire retreated to lick their wounds and plan their next move. But they would never again face a galaxy paralyzed by fear. The message had been sent and received. When darkness threatens the innocent, someone will stand in the way. And sometimes, just sometimes, that someone is a human with nothing left, lose, and everything to fight for. The age of running was over. The age of resistance had begun. Asterisk.